What's up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome to the Deception After Show. We missed you. We missed you. We have a great show for you tonight. We have the amazing executive producer. We're talking kidnapping. We're talking crazy exes. We're talking that kooky mystery woman. Stay tuned and come back for more, people.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I love the music on this show. I do. It brings out the rock and roll in the system. All right, what's up, party people? I am your host, Erika Edwards, and we have an amazing, amazing panel for you tonight. And I would like to allow everyone to introduce themselves. But first, we have amazing guests tonight. It's Chris Fedak, the show creator. So come on, introduce yourselves, everyone, and let's get this popping.
I'm Chris Fedak, creator of Deception, and I'm excited to be here. This is thrilling. This is exciting.
Hey guys, I am Chae Jones.
And I'm Chae Davis.
All right, you guys. So to get this popping and moving quickly, we have 2 episodes. They took a week off and then they came back, blockbusters, gang banging. So we're gonna start with episode 6, but you know, it was kind of a bit of a filler, but fun. We're gonna go through that as quickly as we can because I'm dying to talk about episode 7 because I am Team Jonathan from day one. Okay. But before we go there, let's talk about episode 6, Black Art, and Cameron's crazy ex, or really Cameron was the crazy ex. All right, you guys, what were your overall thoughts about episode 6? Let's start in the general.
I thought it was nice that for a guy to still be that, not obsessed, but like just wanting to make things right in his past relationship, even though it was also so sad. It really was. I'm just like, wow, it's nice to see a guy go through this once in a while. It really is appreciative.
Yes, there are men stalkers. They do that on occasion.
Oh, he's not a
He's
stalker.
not a stalker.
No, he got hurt. You know.
Now with Jordan like blocking
her.
him, he can't stalk what he can't find.
And once
Yeah.
you get a taste of sweet chocolate.
Well, that's one thing I have really loved about this series is that it has definitely crossed all sorts of color lines as far as dating. And every week when we're like in the prison, I'm always like, there are no race gangs in this prison. Like the gangs in the prison are very diverse. Mm-hmm. So 2 thumbs up for that. So I really like that this episode gave us a background into a little bit more of Cameron's love life because like he had that one night stand, I think so far, and he kind of threw a few shots at Kay, but that didn't really go anywhere. So he doesn't seem to have a love interest. And finally we found the one that got away.
The one that he still loves, which I think is why he hasn't really made a connection with anyone. But she's moved on to a billionaire, so that's not going to happen.
It happens.
I just kept thinking of Bring It On when I saw him. Just like, yeah, bring it on, let's do it. I mean, he did a great job playing the billionaire and everything, but I was like, bring it on. That's all I got.
Cool. So Cam's ex gets kidnapped, and well, first she gets robbed, and then that's when he kind of comes in to interview her, and that's, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I would be crazed if I had been robbed, and now here is my crazy ex-boyfriend to interview me. Like, he's not a stalker, but that's a little attached because he doesn't usually do robberies. So, but it was interesting how, you know, they're interviewing her, and then eventually they're going to interview her assistant. Because it's always an inside job.
Always the assistant.
Always the assistant.
Well, I can't blame her. She couldn't get over the fact that he kept his secret twin brother a secret.
I
I'd
mean,
be kind of upset about that. Especially when she was accusing him of having a girlfriend.
I don't know. Okay. Breaking up with him, I don't know. I would have like taken a month to like get over my feelings about the fact. Okay, I would have been relieved the fact that it wasn't another girl. That I would have been relieved about. Okay, but you just kept a secret brother for however long we dated. I need a month or so to not like want to hit you every time I see you.
But I mean, you have to also realize, going back to like Eddie Murphy, you know what I'm saying? There were probably times where she saw him and he was like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And she was like, but I saw you. We looked at each other and I saw you with that girl. Yes. And he was like, it wasn't me though. And he just left it there. So I can see how that would definitely
I would need more
end the
information about
relationship.
that. Because I feel like it was a situation like, oh, I saw you, but it wasn't you. Like, I really don't think it was that.
And then now, years later, she's like, oh, it really wasn't him. But yeah, I'm with a billionaire now.
He did, I love that you guys are reviewing the show in front of me. This is fantastic. I object.
I object. Is he based off of Elon Musk with that whole tech genius, kind of difficult to deal with?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I thought I wanted to do it. Elon Musk, young Steve Jobs, that kind of vibe of like. In truth, the pilot I wrote the year before, this one was about a billionaire who solves crimes, and so I was like, I wanted to do my version of that too, even though that turned into other shows.
I wanted to
keep
pitching that one. That sounds good.
I would love that show.
It was a great pilot, guys. It was called Backup. But here's the thing. It's like. I wanted to have someone essentially that when you look at Cameron, you're like, this guy's great. He's fantastic. He's rich. He's smart. He's all these things. But this guy's better.
Right.
He's better.
Right.
And Jesse also was like, he's a leading man. He's like, we needed somebody who could also come in and like you were like, oh, he will have his own show. It's like it will be next year or whenever. But like he's so fascinating and interesting to watch, and he's also funny. Like you said, bring it on. It's like. It's like you need someone who can do that, who can do like comedy, but also the intensity and the scares. And he was fun. It was great. And so that episode very much depended on Cameron and Rafe to have this kind of connection over someone that only one of them will have in the end.
I know. And then I like how he kind of he accepted. Okay, you're in love with somebody else. He saved your life, even though I jumped in the car for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't your man that jumped in the car and got you, but okay. We're good though, be in love with the billionaire.
That's my that was like there's a certain point in a show where you start to work on it and it's up on the board and you're trying to figure out what to do. And it was him on top of the car where I was like, oh, it has to be. Oh, we have to do this episode. And then when Rafe says, when it's like he has to tell, her that I didn't save you, it was the other guy, and then. Rafe being a moron, it's like emotional moron, is like tell her that I love her. And I'm like, it's like it's the pain. That's the agony of that.
I'm her ex right now. Really, you really want me to say this?
It's weird because as a writer, it's like Jack Cutmore Scott is wonderful. Not only is he great on the show, he's also a wonderful human being, just sweet and nice and just delightful. And for me, it's just I want to be as cruel to him. I want to hurt him. And it's like we have done so many crazy things this year, and it's like I'm just assuming that he's waiting for the point where he can destroy me. But we hung him upside down. We did all this crazy stuff.
Oh,
and
yes,
then,
exactly.
And then this scene was like you want to see Cameron's struggle and suffer. And that was why we have to do this.
You want to do that as a year. I don't want to.
Bring it on the criticism.
Because I feel so bad for him. Because obviously their dad just royally messed them up. Their childhood was obviously not normal.
No.
Even though normal is overrated, but there's a lack of structure. Because they're living as one person for two people, and that's kind of messed up, especially when you're twins and you need your own identity. Mm-hmm. I just really found that. Yeah, I want him to find love, man.
Yes, we do.
That's all I want.
Now,
that's the moral.
One thing I do want to get to on this episode was the storyline behind her kidnapping. So the what's the boyfriend's name? Rafe
Williams.
Had this kind of like Cameron. He's like, I sucked at magic, so I tried to make things real. So he had this technology that his partner. Now this is what I found because I've also do the after show for Black Mirror, and there was a similar theme. There's always in Silicon Valley, there's like the person that's like the face, like the Steve Jobs, and then there's a person who's actually behind the scenes mad that does all the real work. And so I loved in this episode how that guy was like, oh yeah, I know this ain't never gonna work. I told you it ain't gonna work. You had me working all these hours. Now I'm gonna get you. And so it was so interesting that you kind of, it was quick, but I really liked that dynamic of the storyline because everybody always thinks that it's like this one superstar in Silicon Valley, and consistently there's a storyline where it's like someone behind who is really the nerd and is still being abused as the nerd, even though he's a billionaire now. And so that was an interesting dynamic, I thought, to the underlying story of her kidnapping.
I thought that was interesting. I loved how he made him sell the idea to the foreign nationals as like an extra humiliation. And I was like, oh, you're angry. You're so angry.
Yeah, but when it doesn't work, they're going to come back for him.
Get you.
But then I didn't like the fact that they're framing the poor guy with the great black paint in the leg.
Yes, I did not like that either.
I was like, here's the poor little guy in his little tin like garage making great things. Okay,
And
that
broke.
paint was amazing, and he's like getting used.
Yes, by the billionaires.
It wasn't a very nice homicidal plan. You're absolutely right. But it's funny, and I based a lot of that on the Steve Jobs book. It's like they talk about the reality distortion field, and I've always found that fascinating. Of like, essentially you need a person who pushes everyone, and they create this reality distortion around them. But it's always going to be hundreds of people around you. It's like, or thousands that are helping to make this thing possible. Any TV show, like I can come in here and pretend to be the super genius that created everything. And I did, mostly. But like, for instance, there's so many great people that are working on this show. For instance, like this one was written by Sam Sclaver, who's just one of our funniest writers. And it was so great to have someone who came from the comedy world to do this episode. So much of that pain you're talking about comes through. So, it's about who are the other people that help make the thing possible.
I liked how they highlighted each of the supporting characters. How Gunter's walking to the warehouse and he sees those two black guys and he's like, "Yeah, I got so whoa, what's up?" And the other two black guys, as they walk away, he's like, "Why are you? What's going on with you?" And I was like, Gunter does have major swag.
He
does.
Gunter is also partially like in his own mind a serial killer. Like I love him. Every week I'm like, you know what? If he didn't do magic, he'd be killing people. But I love that about him, and I think it adds a little bit of a darkness. He's like, well, if this don't work, I got a knife, which is always handy.
Yeah.
Handy.
Vinny Jones is outrageous.
He's amazing.
So much of that is pure Vinny. It's a combination of Vinny and the character, and so like you're always like, oh, what's he about to do?
Fingernails.
Yeah.
I know, and poor little Jordan just seemed so scared in the hood. I'm not gonna lie, he looked totally terrified. Like, let's just get out of here. So on the Jonathan side of things for episode 6, Jonathan. Now this is another thing with Jonathan and his whole prison world. Okay, so Jonathan gets this like dope for prison workspace. Okay, and I'm kind of like, and the gangs aren't going to be after him for this. Okay, but it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, work study.
Exactly. They're not gonna know. Maybe they don't know where it is or whatever.
They might find out.
Exactly. So
Hey, you just revealed something.
I don't know anything.
I'm like, okay, so Jonathan is working on the cipher, so he can figure out the code that the mystery woman left with Bishop, and so now we have this scene. Like, I am so loving, obviously, Jonathan, Dina, and Mike. So Jonathan is trying to figure out the code, and he's like, I need Houdini's book, really the book from Houdini, and so Dina, he calls Dina, and this is another thing. Like, this is the only time Jonathan has had like a hard time making 2 phone calls in a row, because usually Jonathan's just ringing people up. So that was interesting. I was like, oh, this is almost like really prison. So okay, so Jonathan calls Dina, is like, bring me the book and maybe you can come too, boo. And so she comes and she brings like Mike. And so this is their first sort of awkward interaction, which I loved, because it's like, wait, who is this and why did you bring him to our private meeting? So I loved that scene, because then we and that goes through the next episode, but I love the whole triangle between Dina, Mike, and Jonathan. That's like to die for.
I love it, love it.
It was one of those things in episode 3 we were like, okay, we had a scene between Lenora and Amaury, and we're like, let's see what we have. And I was like, whoa, chemistry's coming off the screen, like, gangbusters. And then in episode 5, we have our first scene between Lenora and Jack, or between Dina and Jonathan. And I was like, oh, there's really great tension here too, which is always interesting when you have an actor playing two different parts, and there's different chemistries with different people. It's fascinating, and so, at least to me. And then the tension was so great that when we got to that scene, it just like jumps off the page, and like,
yes,
Dina and Mike are just incredible. It's like,
and
it's so much
Dina
about
and Jonathan, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
good.
I don't know.
Pain.
I don't know
Here
who
comes the
I'm
pain.
like trying to decide on who I want more.
I know it's gonna be tough. I think we're gonna have to have a vote for the people out there, you guys. So that's gonna be coming up. But yeah, so Jonathan, uses Cypher. And so we close episode 6 with Jonathan calling Cameron because he's realized that Cameron is the next target of the mystery woman. And that's how we open up episode 7, 99 to Fool 1. And at that point, Cameron does find out, I'm about to be kidnapped because he runs into the mystery woman and he's kidnapped. So what are your overall impressions of episode 7?
My questions. How do you know I was going to be at this exact alley at this exact time that for you to come around the door and be like, oh, hey, Cameron, memory spray, knock you out? Those are just the questions I have for her. I think she's awesome, but I need to answer that, Chris.
Oh,
how does she know it's going to be that exact alley?
Oh, they're pushing that way? No, it's like, well, from my perspective, it's like, they've been tracking him for a while. So this was by design, and that the whole idea of like, maybe I'm the only person, but when I was watching that Pokemon thing happen a couple of years ago, I was on Legends of Tomorrow, and it's not the coolest writer's room, so everybody would be like, all of a sudden, where are we going? What's going on? It's like, well, there's like a Pikachu somewhere, and it's like people run out of the room, and I was like, this is crazy. So my thought there was that, like, if you could control people in this way, which is they're playing a game and they're supposed to be in one place where and they all show up, you could definitely push somebody to one place that you want them to be. So it would require a bit of orchestration, but if you controlled where the Pokemon was, I think you could do almost anything. And that's all she needed, him just to be split off. I
love the fact that you use the Pokemon Go reference in the sense, only because I wish there was a Harry Potter version of Pokemon Go. I would play that all day long.
Warner Brothers is here. We'll be right on that for you.
Warner Brothers, if you're listening. Harry Potter Pokemon Go version, please.
Yeah, I loved the I have a coworker who loves Pokemon Go, and she plays like every day at lunch to this day.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's still a thing with her, and they're like groups and stuff. So I loved that aspect of the game. And I love the fact that we finally see Kay's emotional attachment to Cameron. Because you can tell she's growing attached, but they're, and they haven't clicked. But it isn't until he's finally, until he's missing, that she's like, no, he's one of us. We have to find him. And it was interesting. You guys went a little hard on NYPD Blue right there. Yeah, they were just like, what? We can wait for another few more days. We don't need to look right now. We good. And, but they got it together. And so... so they go to this queue. So now this whole episode is like about ciphers and puzzles and Jonathan.
Yes.
So Mike is like, okay, you need an illusionist to find an illusionist. And so they go to bring Jonathan, which to me, was great because I love Jonathan. Pretty easy. They're like, okay, yeah, we're getting him out. We're the FBI. This is what we do. And get him out of there.
Clothes, by the way.
There was some really great paperwork scenes we had about them getting the 48 hours release. And then we had a good bureaucratic scene where the FBI agreed with state. And it was wonderful. But we cut it. I don't know why.
You're like, we only have an hour, Erika. What you want? And so...
it was a time cut.
Yes. And then, again, I love that you guys were like, look, it's Jonathan. We know he's getting out of prison, but he's going to be dressed well. Like, that's important.
Going back to the thing, I was like, this episode had to have the scene, had to have the big metal door open up and Jonathan will walk out. And here's the thing is that when you shoot in New York City, you shoot in real prisons.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, which is
really? Are you joking with us?
No, really. But the crazy,
that's so cool.
The crazy thing was that it was because of just the way the shooting worked. We had to go around to a couple different prisons to shoot. I did it once, and I was like, I'm not. This is because it's intense.
Never been around much prisons, have you, Chris?
No, I haven't. What's happening? So it's just like so it was
It's like my prisoners give out Snickers bars. Come on, guys.
That's what happens, right? Like, this is scary already.
Well, no, first you get beat down, and then you get your Snickers bar.
I know. Which I will say, I loved that. I was like, oh, he's in the gang now. He's eating the Snickers. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Tessa, he is not. He just beat him down to prove that he could fight and nobody can mess with me.
And I feel like
he took it.
And I feel like he decided to join the gang because he needs his peoples and he's eating his Snickers. Okay, but time will tell. Time will say. We'll save something for predictions, people.
But when he's in the prison, they all need to get along, and I think that is when they need some counseling. They need almost like a big sister. And so I say, if you want to have fun, learn and grow in all areas of your life, for those who do, have we got the podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos. Podcast edition is hosted by our AFTERBUZZ TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to better in all aspects of life, from health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us who sent you there. The team of deception.
Yeah.
Guys, it's free. How many things in LA are free?
Exactly.
Take
Exactly.
the advice.
Exactly. And you know, dating out here is hard. That's really all I have to say. And
Except for our girl. She has 2 men right now.
That is true. Dina got them coming from both sides.
Oh, Dina.
yes.
I love it because I feel like her and Jonathan have such a great like connection, but then her and Mike too. I'm just like, dang it, I'm really team Jonathan. I'm so sorry, Mike. I'm really team Jonathan.
I am too.
Even if
Yeah,
it like
but-
doesn't end up the way I want it to. I'm still
Well, I
team
don't know.
Jonathan.
I don't know. I haven't quite decided. But what I really liked in this episode, because I always feel like we get more and more, we don't see enough of Jonathan. So I was loving this episode. But it was so interesting to see how the actor brought in the sort of differences in the, because we don't see Cameron at all. So it's all about Jonathan. And I love the fact that he never called Mike by his actual name the whole time. He was Matt or Mark.
So
or
passive aggressive. I loved it.
And so that whole sort of wry sense of his sort of drier humor I really liked, and it was in the way he sort of brought a little bit of darkness to it, and so that was really cool. And so he's solving the puzzles, and he's so cerebral. Cameron is brilliant in his own right, but Jonathan has his own brilliance that he brings to every episode that he's in. So in this one, he's solving. They go to the Q house, the mansion, and right at the last minute.
Let's go to an island that has an asylum because we don't want to get murdered. I'm sorry. I just like, I can't. I'm like, this is un-American. This is un-African-American. I'm sorry. I just can't.
I don't know. If I had downloaded that app on my phone, I'd be like, look, I'm going to get to that top room because I'm smart and I'm getting my 5 million points and hopefully a
Does it turn to
cruise
$5
or
million?
whatever.
And a prize, whatever the prize is.
No, the prize is probably like a doll, like in the shape of a Q girl. Like those prizes are usually interesting.
Then, yeah, African-American. You ain't going to find me.
And so at the end of this scene, Jonathan solves the Rockefeller mystery and he gives it to the mystery woman, and he's chasing her. And at the end, he's about to shoot her. And then that's when Kay like is the solo queen always, but Kay, she's always like someplace by herself. Like, I don't need backup. I got this.
Well, her backup's knocked out. Like, who's she gonna call?
They're on an island.
And they had to have invites.
Exactly. So Kay gets out there. So is Jonathan is about to shoot the mystery woman. Kay is about to shoot Jonathan. And boo, Jonathan is going back to prison, we think, for a moment. So what did you guys think? Did you guys think he was really going to shoot her? I didn't really think he was going to shoot her.
Oh, I think he was going to shoot her. He's angry.
I
don't think he would have shot her to kill her.
It wasn't going to be a shot to kill. Definitely be a shot to injure.
Yeah.
And I would have been
Right.
totally fine with that situation. I just want to see her like fall into the ocean. Because she almost seems like almost too perfect. And it's just like, I really want somebody to knock that smirk off your face right now. I really appreciate if they did it.
She's smirky Miss Smirkystein. She deserves to be just smacked. And I normally do not say physical violence is the answer, but
Physical violence is the answer against the
in this
mystery
case.
woman.
Within
Because she's
show.
just, because I'm trying to figure out, we have theories as to why she's so angry with them. I personally think she's either their illegitimate half-sister, and she's like, how dare you spend time with daddy? He abandoned me. Or their father did something to her father, causing her father to go to jail unfairly, and she's taking revenge. And where is their dad? And their mom? Are they dead?
I think mom might be dead.
I think we're going to see, I don't know, I know there's an episode later where there's like, they're twins, they're like younger, so maybe we'll see the dad later, right?
You will see the dad later.
Yay!
You will see the dad later. Yeah.
Yay! Because we do want to find out a little bit more about that history about them.
I'm gonna be
Horrible
really
parents.
stoic and quiet right now at this moment, but like, I don't want to ruin anything. But yeah, we do get into some fun parenting and bad parenting coming up. Mostly in the past.
Okay, so basically we come down to the kind of closing scenes where it's a jewelry heist. So it's the action-packed drama that we get at the closing of an episode. And so the mystery woman's going to steal this,
Lynx diamond.
Lynx diamond. And so Jonathan is dressed up as Cameron, and he has to like do tricks for the little gala people. That scene was hilarious because he was like, "Oh God, I have to actually be Cameron and be nice to people for a change."
However, that lady needs to get slapped. I'm like, I don't care who you are. You don't disrespect. You don't say, "Oh, I love you," but disrespect my brother at the same time. How that work for you, really? Not even a slap, just more of a nice classic comeback. I really would love like a classic comeback for some people.
I'm not
the queen of it. I am intermediate. I am a beginner. But somebody need to work on the classic comebacks. Because that was wrong.
Yeah, he needed a clap back. He should have said, "Am I a clown? Am I here to perform for you?" What?
So it scared her, you know, with a pesci. Got it.
Are you entertained?
Yeah.
That was good. That was good. I mean, I enjoyed that scene. Like the annoyance that he had to perform like a monkey for them. And then he was like, "Well, let me think this through." And then he's like, look around to see who's paying attention.
But I also found it interesting because obviously Cameron was the one that was always the forefront, even though Jonathan would maybe finish the tricks. Right. I thought that dichotomy was very interesting to see him actually be the performer and be Cam for a second. That was cool.
He also does a coin trick, which is the thing is that they have their go-tos. One is a card guy, one's a coin guy. So he will always kind of, one will lean to the one and one will lean to the other, to the extent that Jack has mastered different tricks for it.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that's true. Every episode, Jonathan's with the coin, and Cameron's always doing crazy stuff with cards.
They're always slight.
I feel like we're getting the Deception Bible right here, people.
I'll give you whatever you want to know. It's everything.
Everything?
That is that's so interesting. That's a detail that I think it would have taken me 3 more episodes to get. That's a good one.
But it's also interesting going in the next week. It's like the person, when they notice that it's Henri across the room looking over, it's like that's his brother looking at him doing tricks, and it's like that's the fun of next week's episode too. Is like we go behind the scenes and kind of play that side of the story as well. So I think that it's really fun to watch Jack and do these 2 parts because like in a way they're just so subtly different, but you really begin to it's like he's just 2 different people.
Exactly, and I think that grows with each episode. Because I think at first I was like, yeah, that's just Cameron with the orange jumpsuit on. But then as it grew, I was like, wow, he's really killing it. Each episode, he's getting stronger and stronger with the diversity of the characters.
One of the things that I find that I'm curious about is what comes first. Is it the magic trick or the mystery idea that you have, and which do you sort of taper off from? So is it like, do I want to do the Houdini hang upside, or is it more about the mystery of the artist who turns out to be part of the conspiracy?
It's different either time. It's kind of neat. It's like we come at it 2 different ways, sometimes from the magic and sometimes from the story. And usually the story is a part of it because at the beginning of the season, like David Kwong and Francis Menotti are magicians, and David's one of the producers on the show, and he's also a puzzle guy. So all the puzzles in the show from last night, those are all puzzles that David created.
No, we saw him on Twitter, and I still didn't get it. I was like, I saw this on TV, and I still getting figured out.
I'm the same way, but they all make sense because I would get usually I get the visual effects, and I go like, oh, that looks good, and that's great, and make a small change here and there. And the puzzles, I was like, David, does this look correct? And he was like, no, this. So he would. Everything was fine tuned, and it was very much this puzzle solving mind that kind of was a part of that. So we talk about all these things, and the guys, the magicians, sat down with us writers, and they kind of go through it, and they figure out magic theory, magic ideas, different concepts that we want to get into, and so. For instance, black art was something what we knew about because it was a classic part of magic going back, more than 100 years of like what you can do against the magic backdrop is almost anything against a black backdrop is almost anything.
Right.
And so we knew we wanted to kind of do a high tech version of that, and that kind of fell into that story, and those 2 kind of joined together. Whereas when it came to 99 to fool to 1, that was a theory that we knew about, but it wasn't until we came up with the idea of how Cameron is kidnapped. Because I was like, I've seen so many times where it's like, oh, he gets knocked on the back of the head. Or like, and the person gets grabbed. But I was like, what can we do different? And the idea of the Pokemon Go and using the octagon as a way to grab somebody, we thought that was neat, and that fell into this category of David going like, well, that's 99 to fool 1. Is you have 99 people on a trick just to fool 1 person, and that's what gets into like the mic trick and all that stuff. So like that was the story first, magic second, but we can do it the other way around too.
Interesting.
I will say that somebody suspect for me in this episode was Jordan. I got questions for Jordan.
Well, then you have to wait for next week.
Because my questions were like, are you in on this? Like, are you working the mystery woman? And why do you keep nagging Mike about this? Like, dude, like he's calm. Why I feel like he's trying to like start like an issue when there's not an issue.
I feel like I thought he wanted. When I saw the Jordan and Mike interaction, I always assumed that Mike and that Jordan and Gunther are like, okay, we want Jonathan. Yeah. We want Jonathan to win, so we're gonna mess up your relationship any way we can.
Yeah, because they're a family.
Okay, you're good.
Okay,
don't worry. Because they're a family, and why you'd want your brother to win?
Yeah,
the
like
woman that he
like Jordan seemed like that bad stepkid who's like, well, my daddy's coming back tomorrow, so yeah, mommy doesn't really like you. Like that's how
she's just passing time till daddy gets back from from time away
from his vacation, and then they're going to be back together.
I always thought he was trying to commiserate. That's the way I see Jordan in that moment. It's just like that's his weird attempt at trying to commiserate with Mike and only making it worse. But I totally understand that perspective as well. Of like, the idea is like maybe he's trying to salt his game a little bit. But I think Gunter's more of a guy who probably would, be totally totally on Jonathan's side. I think he'd do anything for Jonathan.
He even told Mike, he's like, I will help him escape. He won't ask me to do it, but if it comes down to it, know what side I'm choosing.
Right.
Exactly. He's upfront about it.
Yes. I respect that about him. I really do. He's like that. He's like, you kind of know what you get when you talk to Gunther. Like, seriously. He's been in the wars.
What war was he in? How old is he?
I can't speak to that. I can't speak to this whole war.
Because I was like, Vietnam? Because he's British and he wouldn't go to Vietnam.
No, maybe the Falklands, but he's too young. He's too old for the Falklands. So it's confusing. We'll have to get in there.
We'll have to get in.
Maybe it was the Magician Wars in 1988.
Very true, very true. Okay, so Jonathan cuts off his ankle bracelet, and they do another one of those switcheroos, which we do. You already kind of explained a lot of the magic already, so we do have a special segment that we usually do, but you kind of explained it already. Where we do, and this actually goes into a question I have for you too. We do a segment in our show called Behind the Magic, because one of the things that I love, but not so much love about Deception is that you all ruin magic tricks every week.
Oh, no.
I want to believe that the person is flying in the air, and so. So what we do here to support you and what you're doing is we too ruin magic tricks for people every week.
Oh no!
So we try to, or not ruin them, but explain them to those who want to find a future in magic. So we kind of explain to them different magic tricks. So I know a few weeks ago we did ciphers, I think, because David talked about ciphers in his tweet. But then it kind of came up now in this episode, so I wish we had done it this week. But also, I was going to talk a little bit more about black art, but you already did, and you explained all that. So we did do that. But my question to you along those lines is, is that something you made a conscious decision to do? Every week we're going to explain these great magic tricks to people?
Well, no, it's actually really interesting because one of the things that we knew going into the show is that we could not ruin magic. It's there's always going to be a difference between us talking about the theory of magic and some of the things that we do in the show.
Okay.
But we actually have this thing, which is that the magicians, Francis and David, will write the script, will work on the story, and what they do is they essentially censor out. They kind of look at it and they go we can show this, we can't show that. And there's and the rule that we do is that if the trick is over 100 years old and nobody is using it, then we'll, in our the episode 3 where we do the mirror in the museum. That's based on a very old 100-year-old trick called the Blue Room, and we even changed the name of it because we didn't want to give anything away. But we knew that in the end, it's this is a trick that used to be done, and it's an amazing trick, but it's not something that's done all the time. And so what the guys do is that we make certain that we're not ruining anything that a magician is doing today. So if this is a person's trick, or if somehow they how they make their show and is a part of their show, we don't want to expose that. And a lot of also what we do is that we'll give you the concept or the idea behind the magic, but we don't show you the mechanisms in small individual pieces. So the guys they really get in there. So there's a lot of time where I'm it's guys, what can we show of the decolleté chair? We can show this, we can't show that. And I'm and what's great is that we went to go to screen the show at the Magic Castle, and I was so nervous because we took the pilot there, and the Magic Castle is it's this very interesting, unique place.
Beautiful pink castle that I just want to live in.
Giant castle, and it's full of all these magicians, and they really loved and enjoyed the show, which was great. I mean, I think they tapped into the fact that we wanted to, this is a celebration of magic. Our characters love magic. There's not a lot of us. And that's what we wanted to do, but we have to be careful there. That is the line we walk.
Well, that is so cool and exciting to hear, because at first, like the first couple episodes, I was like, what? We're gonna run it. I was like, I can never go see David Copperfield now, especially now that he's in the lawsuit. But after that lawsuit is over, I can go back now because he's still cool. So that is great. That's good to know. That actually was a question of mine I've been wanting forever. So.
We have a question in the chat. Oh.
So is Cameron and Jonathan, who are they based off of as far as magicians?
It's funny. It's like, from the very get-go when we first started talking about the show, it's like I sat down with Greg and he was like, you wanted to do a show about magic, and he had the idea of it, that twins would be the center of the show. And we really kind of built off that idea of like, well, if you had this, nobody knew about the other brother, who do those two guys become? And so they're built off a number of different characters and personalities. Essentially, I wanted Cameron to be this showman. I wanted Jonathan to be the much more cerebral brother. So there's a bit of my personal life, just also from showbiz. And there's a whole speech about show business in episode 8. Not that's the reason to watch it. There's much more exciting reasons to watch it. But it wouldn't hurt. So for me, I just wanted to do a show. I love these kind of bigger, larger than life characters, and kind of bringing Cameron into the world of police officers just felt like fun. So there's a lot. It's an amalgam. My smarter brother Andy is more like Jonathan, and I'm more like whatever I do.
He's like, I'm more like the attractive, sexy Cameron.
Exactly. He's good.
Okay, what's the question from the chat?
So I think this is more of a question for all of us, because I don't know if you can actually reveal if it's true or not. But
Sure.
Billie Jean in the chat wants to know, so did Detective Daniels let the woman go? That's a question I also have. So I'm curious. Like, what'd she do to Mystery Woman? Did she tie her up, zip tie her?
Like, she didn't have time, so
didn't
she
have
had
time.
to run
go
back inside.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
she let her go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, she had to race back
Dang,
inside.
why can't she have no memory spray? Here, now stay down.
Kay would have memory spray? That, like an FBI agent just has like.
They don't carry that.
I don't think
you
they can.
could figure out a reason why she would somehow have it.
She could have blown her. She
could have shot her.
Maybe she could have shot her. Yeah.
Like, she just shot her in the leg to like just slow her down. Like, not like just a nice
Kay.
defensive wound that will like
Exactly.
slow her down.
Yes,
But there was cars and movement and things happening. It's like there's always like we cut away from that scene. So I was usually when we're writing, and also sometimes even in the cut, there's like a much more elaborate version of how people get away and whatnot. And in the end, it's like you have 43 minutes, so it's just like and you're right into your. So there was a very practical reason why she couldn't shoot her in that moment and like end the show.
You can't just like hit her with the butt of the gun. I'm just saying.
Well, they were too far apart. It's maybe 20 feet.
Well, I got a gun and you don't, so I figured like if I rush you real quick.
Meanwhile, she's like, well, yeah, but you have like 30 seconds to save your partner. So what you gonna do?
Oh, and the radios are down.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
You
And
hurt my
Kay
heart.
wouldn't do that. Kay is a rule follower. She's a rule follower.
And we
I
have
think
to,
she really
not
shoots
trying
anybody
to
unless
not
it's
trying to be funny,
unavoidable.
but because I love Kay, but at least half the episodes, the bad guys drive away. There's always a scene where she's like standing there with the gun and they like ride away, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Cameron, they got away again." So
what am I supposed to do?
That sounds like poor writing.
No, never. The writing is great. It's not Kay's wild that they drive so fast. I
think there was 2 episodes where we had Cameron knocked out at the end of Act 4. So I'm like, all right, okay.
Kay
Step away
doesn't
from
seem
that
to
one.
like to use her gun. I almost think there's something along with the backstory of her sister where she doesn't want to shoot. She really tries to not shoot people.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
now one thing this was a small detail that I thought was like a joke, right? Was when Mike was taking Jonathan before they get him back for the jewelry heist. When Mike is taking Jonathan to see Dina for the last time or whatever, and he's like gives him the key to the handcuffs. I'm like insulted now because I'm like, do you know this is episode 7? Like, why are you putting handcuffs on magicians to begin with? Because we know from the first episode this is like their thing. And so Jonathan just was like, thanks. And I'm like, come on, you guys. I thought that was like a joke. I was like, that's hilarious.
It probably was a joke because I'm pretty sure dude knows how to get out some handcuffs. Like, I understand your frustration with that because I'm just like, you put a magician in some handcuffs. So you really believe he can't get out of this? Like, if he really chose to?
The
like,
magician that you've been with his twin brother for the past, I don't know how many episodes with the rest of us. We've seen him get out of Stony handcuffs. I'd be like, Jonathan, why?
Yeah, I mean,
I Jonathan did it more as like
It was very cute, though. I really liked it.
I get to make
loved
my
it.
point now, right? I mean,
I think Jonathan, like at that point, he was like, I'll let Matt, Mark, Mike, have
Yeah,
his
whatever his
moment.
name is.
I'll let him have his
This is
moment,
key
like
right
thinking, I'm
here.
like, oh, you're just gonna take me back to jail with these handcuffs on. Okay, cool, dude. You're not good for her. I mean, I'm not good for her too. But
You use the word protocol and you corny.
He's gonna steal her away.
You tried to out magic me. No.
Yes.
Jonathan, when he walked out of that jail, was just, I was like, ooh.
I was like, woo. Cameron couldn't get it, but Jonathan.
You take Jonathan, I'll take Cameron. It'll be good. Y'all can fight over Jonathan. I'll take Cameron. It'll be okay. He needs all the love he can get in this life.
Okay.
Cameron's got some good glamour moments coming up in the next episode.
All right, you guys.
So he's not dead.
Okay, hold on, you guys. Before we go there,
I almost cried. I was super upset.
All right, you guys, stop before we get out of here. Okay, so at the end of the scene, Kay rushes back, and Jonathan is trying to save everybody. Now, here's my thing too, also about that, is that were you all shocked that was Cameron behind the mask? Because the whole time I was like, well, obviously it's a mask, and who wears a disguise every episode? I don't know, Cameron. So there's no spoiler alerts there, people. So he saved everyone, and then Gunther's like, well, Henri deserves it, and then all of a sudden Cameron's like, I'm melting, and but not in such a funny way. Like for a moment there, I was almost like, is Cameron dead? For a second. But then we've killed Cameron 3-4 times on this show, right? At least twice. So I'm kind of like, all right.
Well, I mean, he lost all the oxygen. That can kill you.
That will kill you.
That will kill you.
That's real.
Wait, time. He was shot before. Come on, you guys. This is their thing.
But if he died, then that means Jonathan would be able to switch with him, and then Jonathan would be free, and then it would be all this angry, I shall have revenge for the murder of my brother. Revenge!
Okay, well,
I don't know about that.
all right, you guys. So,
Very close to exactly what we did. That's exactly what we did. I'm just going to spoil the rest of the season.
oh my gosh.
That's it. You got it.
All right, so we're going to do, let's do some news and gossip before we get up out of here right quick. News and gossip. All right, so everybody has mostly been getting it together for these double episodes, but Mike actually is really friends with Eva Longoria. Eva Longoria, and he does. I think he even went on vacation with her at one point. But this particular photo is from when she got her Hollywood Star of Fame a couple weeks ago on the Walk of Fame or whatever. And so he was out there hanging out with her, and also he was kicking it in Dominican Republic for vacation, but I figured that's his private business, so I'm not gonna put it up here. That was in his live, so I couldn't send that. But that's what's going on with him. Did any of you guys have any news and gossip you want to add?
Oh, hey, are any of the men single on the show asking for a friend?
I don't know. I think I'm maybe a Maori. I'm not quite.
Okay,
sorry.
That would be gossip.
We'll let you guys know about that.
Actually, I don't know. I'm desperate. I'm out of my depth at the moment, guys. I'm sorry.
All right, you guys. All right, so we'll let you know who's available next week. We're gonna bribe him. We're gonna bribe him with cupcakes, so we'll find out. All right, you guys. So before we get up out of here, so at the end of this episode, this is going to be a 2-part episode that's going to be back on Sunday. Jonathan is able to pull out everybody, but Cameron is in there, and and it looks like Cameron is losing oxygen. You guys, maybe Cameron might be dead. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, party people, and we can't wait to hear what Chris has to say.
I can't wait.
The next segment of our show is predictions.
I'm gonna give you everything.
Yes. All right, you guys. So take it away, Chae. We'll start with you.
My prediction is that they'll have a major love fest with Dinah, and there'll be a major triangle, and they'll both try and kiss her, and then she'll be like, no, I can't. Yes, I can.
Ooh, what kind of show is this? Okay. Now,
Great idea.
this is not HBO, boo. Okay. Now
Like
go
that.
ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know if I can follow that.
Yes, you can. You can.
My predictions, I really am interested, like, if the mystery woman turned Cameron or if he faked the fact that he turned, because, you know, when Billy Zane was on there, he said, she opened my eyes, she showed me a world I didn't know, like, existed almost. So I'm really interested how, because I'm like, dude, like, you apparently went along with it, you put on your mask, you were ornery. I need to know why, and I need to know, like, what happened. But prediction-wise, definitely mystery woman has something to do with their past. And I legit want to know who their daddy is. Their daddy.
Right. Chris, what can you predict from your knowing knowledge?
It's kind of scary because I know everything. Yeah. I just pitched season 2. I mean, it's great. I have so much information for you guys. Well, I do want to say one thing is that Jack actually, this is more in the previous segment, Jack's been doing a Instagram post showing some magic stuff that he's been doing at home with David Kwong. And it's
cool.
really super cool. So if you guys get a chance, it's really fun to go check that out.
Yes, we will do that.
And then the other thing I am, so what I'll say about the show is next week's episode is probably the biggest, craziest, most exciting thing we've done all season. You know, not only are we going to flip the perspective and kind of see this whole thing from Cameron's perspective, you know, we're going to have some really fun, exciting set pieces. We also have a swimsuit in the episode that caused ABC's minds to explode in their, you know, standards and practices department. So you've got a lot of things to look forward to. You know, it's like. And the action is just amazing. It's Bryn Malone wrote that episode. I should also say that 107 was written by Johnny Norris. And what else can I say? It's like there's a I couldn't be prouder. It's a lot of fun, and please come and please watch. It's like 10 o'clock Sunday night, and we're everyone just get in there and watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, my prediction is going to be, I think eventually we're going to get back to Kay and her sister and something going on from Kay's past. Hopefully Kay too has a crazy ex. I don't know. I think, and I do.
Yes, that's happening.
And again, you guys, I am all about Jonathan and the prison violence. So I do believe after Jonathan is kicking it in his cute clothes, he's gonna have some more issues with Winslow or whatever, the big mean black prison mate that's trying to have his back and whatever. So I think Jonathan is gonna have some more bigger prison issues because he's been kicking it. He has a great life to be a prisoner, so I think he's gonna have to pay the price. All right, you guys, so we're wrapping it up. This has been an amazing, amazing episode. And thank you so much, Chris, for being here with us. So before we get out of here, we're going to give you guys all our information. Again, my name is Erika Edwards. You can follow me on all of my social media at Erika, E-R-I-K-A-D as in door, Edwards. And Chris, if they were to hopefully run into you on the street or however you want people to know
mail
how to find you.
To Warner Brothers. Paper mail. Actually, I do. We have a writer's Twitter account. I have no idea what it is, but we will. I usually answer to that as well. So
yes, we'll let you guys know what that is shortly or by next week for sure, because this is amazing and we had a blast. So we'll tweet it out later on tonight, you guys.
Hey guys, you can find me at Real Chae Jones on Twitter and Instagram, and Riverdale tonight at 10. Check it out.
Yay.
Cheryl about to go crazy, and I'm all for it. That's all I have to say.
Yay.
And my name is Cherry_LA. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. And the Deception Writer Room is Deception Writer at Twitter.
Yay. So tweet at Chris all day, all night long. He loves that. I'm just joking. These are just jokes, people, but if it's urgent, do it. All right, you guys, this has been an amazing show. Thank you so much. Buzz you later, people.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Fedak, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.